Hey all, welcome back to a very exciting video. Okay, I am in Canada. I am finally settled in, and I think it's high time I told you guys everything about how I relocated to Canada with my family. So if you are interested, then you definitely want to keep on watching. Where do I start? So I relocated to Canada. My flight was specifically on the 24th of August, and it has been exciting. The experience has been amazing. Okay, I know that there are lots of you out there who want to relocate to Canada, especially with your family, and you're thinking of the right path to go through. So I'm going to walk you through the way I did mine, how it happened for me, and then some of the steps and extra things that I did to make my application easier and of course a success. Now, first of all, I have to give you guys this backstory, okay, for you to understand better why I decided to choose this route. Okay, my husband has actually been in Canada for over a year now. He has been on PR. Okay, so my husband actually came to Canada without me and my daughter, and that was because he actually applied for his permanent residency long before COVID, and then COVID happened, and so they couldn't attend to them. You know, all applications were put on hold, and then we got married after that period, and then after I gave birth to my baby, boom, the PR came out, and so it was like almost, it was impossible for him to add us as dependents at that time, because despite reading several web forms and stuff like that to update IRCC of his new marital status, everything just failed. Okay, so he had to live without us, and that's the reason why I had to come alone with our daughter. Okay, so I actually used the study route. You could actually use a study route. You could use the visitor's visa, which I do not necessarily recommend, or you could go through work permit or the permanent residency like my husband did. But I actually chose the study visa because it's the fastest. If you check the processing times, you can get your study visa within a month to 2 months, depending on, you know, the backlog and the time you actually apply. So it's actually the fastest, it's the easiest, it has less requirements, and so that was what I chose to come through to Canada. Now, the very first thing, okay, that you need to do if you are planning on relocating to Canada, let's say via a study permit, which I feel is the fastest and easiest way to do so. The very first thing that you need to do is to do your research on where you want to go to in Canada. And there are certain factors that you have to put into consideration while choosing your location, okay? You have to consider the climate condition, okay? You also have to consider, you know, prospects of you getting a job. You also have to consider the cost of living and then the lifestyle in general, especially if you're going with your children. You have to consider so many other things before you decide where you want to go. I personally and my family, we live in Victoria, which is the capital of British Columbia. Actually, my husband actually chose this place for two reasons. First of all, he actually got a job here, like even back in Nigeria before he came here, he got a job here. And then secondly, the climate condition here is actually the most favorable in, you know, all of or most of the cities here in Canada. Secondly, Victoria is like a really beautiful city. It is not choked up, it's not filled up with, it's not like major cities like Toronto, Ontario that everybody wants to go. It's, you know, family oriented, and it's just a really, really cool place to be in. So these are some of the things that we actually looked into before choosing Victoria. So you have to make sure of that. Choose your choice of city first, and then head on to number 2, which is decide what you want to study. Okay, so assuming that we're taking the study route, you have to decide what you want to study. Now, a lot of people actually make a very, very big mistake in the sense that they just decide, okay, I'm going to come to Canada through the study route, and they just choose any Yamayama course, come here, do it, and then it's like it's not even making sense. If you are going to choose a choice of study, if you're going to pay millions of naira to be able to get enrolled into a university or a college or whatever it is here, just so that you can, you know, become a permanent resident here, then make it worth it. Okay, choose a program of study that is going to be beneficial to you even after you're done with your program of study. So when you choose to settle in, when you choose to start getting a job, at least it will be a nice addition to your CV. It is going to be a program that is going to, you know, put you at the forefront of, employers, and, just give you more job prospects. Instead of just going to study something like really, really random just because you want to come to study in Canada. Don't pick any yama course, okay? Make sure that you choose a very, very good program of study, something that you will be good in, and something that is going to be beneficial to you after you are done. And thirdly, of course, is to find a school that offers the program of your choice. Now, in choosing the program of your choice, I think that it's very, very good if you have a backup program, okay? You could have like a major program of interest, and then you have a backup just in case your major program doesn't work out for you. Now, choosing a school of your choice is very, very important, and you have to put two things into consideration. First of all, it has to be a designated learning institution, okay? It has to be a DLI, otherwise you're not going to get your study permit approved. And then secondly, another thing that you should pay attention to is that they offer postgraduate work permit programs, okay? They are eligible for postgraduate work permit programs. So even if you choose your school, you have to make sure that the program that you are choosing as well is eligible for the postgraduate work permit. This is what is going to enable you work for a while after you are done with school, okay, while processing your permanent papers or whatever the case might be. Otherwise, you're just going to come here, spend money, and then get shipped back to your country. You don't want that. Now, the next step, obviously, after you are done with finding your school, getting your program, then of course you'd apply. Now, after you apply, the next thing that you do is not to wait. You start gathering your documents, even when you don't know, okay, you don't know what the outcome of your application will be, but be optimistic. Start gathering your documents. You don't want to wait until it's last minute when your admission is out, then you start gathering. No, start gathering your necessary documents. Go to IRCC's website, your passport. If you do not have a passport, you know that getting a passport now in Nigeria is like hot cake because of the japa rate is so high. So you want to make sure that you get your passport ready. If you're coming with your family, get the same for your children, your husband, whatever it is. Get your passport ready. You want to make sure that you get, any documents that you might need, whether your birth certificate for your kids, your proof of funds, which is very, very important. You have to start building this up. And when you want to even start your application, okay, you need to start early. Don't say, okay, school is resuming in September and I want to start applying in July. That's too late, okay? It might be too late for you. So you want to give it 6 months at least, so that you have ample time to gather your documents, to wait for your application to be approved, and just to plan your journey so that you're not in a hurry, okay? So gather your proof of funds, gather your documents that are necessary for you to travel, everything that that you are going to need. Start gathering them so that when your admission comes, you just hit send and just apply. This is the time that you want to go onto IRCC's website, create your account with GCK. You can even start the application process, okay? Fill in the preliminary questions to see if you're eligible and all that stuff, just so that you're halfway through. Once the admission comes out, you know that what you need to do is just to submit your application, and that's basically it. Now, a bit more on proof of funds, okay, because this is where I had my issues, right? Now, with proof of funds, if you go to IRCC's website, they tell you that you need $10,000 for your first year. Then any dependents that you're coming with, your first dependent, will need $4,000. That's Canadian dollars. And then the next dependent will need $3,000, and that's how it goes, depending on how many children or how many family members you are coming with. Now, a mistake that so many people tend to make is they just calculate that $10,000 and they feel okay, that's the only money that I need. That is absolutely false, okay? You need to factor in your flight tickets to and fro. You need to factor in your miscellaneous, okay? You need to factor in your school fees, your tuition balance. That is if you have already paid deposits and all of that stuff, separate from the 10,000. That 10,000 is just for your living expenses, okay? But you definitely need to factor in other little things. If you're coming with a little baby, you need to factor in provision for maybe daycare or something while you are at school. Just put all of that into your calculation, even if you might not necessarily need it, but put all of that into your calculation so that you have enough funds. And then when you have all of these calculated, you should actually extend your funds a bit, okay? Because of inflation, you know how naira, dollar situation is in Nigeria. So you don't want to use the exact amount, so that if by any chance there's any inflation or dollar goes high and stuff like that, it's not going to affect your application, okay? So I'd say that you should top it up with something reasonable so that there is that safe place for you to fall back to. Now, these were the preliminary things that I did in order to apply, and once my admission came out, I applied, and my application, my second application was on the 10th of July. Okay, I submitted my application on the 10th of July, and I got a response from IRCC on the 1st of August that my application was approved. So that was like basically 3 weeks, and that was because I had everything. I had all my documents, I did my medicals, which you should, okay, you should do your medicals even before they ask you to. Okay, another thing that is very, very important for you is to schedule your medical appointment even before IRCC sends you to do it. Okay, definitely for your biometrics you would need a letter from IRCC, but for medicals you can actually do it up front. That will save you lots of time. Okay, you don't want to go to IOM and go and suffer when IRCC is actually waiting for your medical results. So you want to make sure that you're doing it up front if you have the means, so that you can just gather everything. Once IRCC asks, it's already there for them to, you know, view and do whatever they want to do with it. Application got approved 3 weeks after I applied, and you guys, it was so emotional for me because, like I said, I was once rejected, and I just, like, the moment I saw that message from IRCC, my email, I was literally shivering, like I was shaking. Like, for me to even open like the message, I was just, I was scared to the core. Okay, once I opened it, like, I just scrolled down, you know, where you see the new message, and then I just saw that it was for my passport request. Oh my god, I just felt like a heavy burden lifted off my shoulders. I was so happy because I've been away from my husband for like 1 year, and we're actually newly married. Okay, we got married, we did that. I think he traveled at the month of our first year anniversary, so we were together for just only a year, and he traveled, and we've been apart for like a year. Our baby was only 3 months when my husband traveled, and you know, it was just so emotional. Like, I really wanted to be with my family. Long distance marriage was never in my books. Okay, so for me, having the opportunity to be with my husband in the same place, like, it was just amazing. Okay, so I was like really, really happy when everything worked out fine. And yeah, that was basically how, you know, I got my study permit approved in 3 weeks. Okay, it's not a hard and fast through, honestly, and I don't think that the process is as difficult as most people make it to seem. Some people feel like if you don't go through an agent, you're never going to get approved. Listen, you just need to focus, put your documents right, get the right documents together, do your research, and do this thing yourself. My husband applied for his PR by himself, and he got it approved. Okay, I applied for my study permit myself, and I got it approved as well. Okay, I did not use any agent, I did not pay any money to anybody. I'm not trying to spoil market for anybody, but if you have the money, I mean, feel free, do it. But if you don't have the money, you can do this by yourself. Okay, just calm down, gather your documents, ask questions, and I mean, you'll be good to go, honestly speaking, in no time. And you should stay tuned for my next video. Okay, I'm going to be telling you guys how I got through with CBSA border services. Like, I've heard horrible stories about how people, you know, like, have like terrible experiences at the border when they at the point of arrival. Mine was like really, really smooth, and I know you want to know exactly how I did it, so stay tuned for my next video. Until then, if you have any questions about the study permit process, how, you know, to go about it, please leave the questions in the comment below. I'll be sure to answer them for you guys. Until then, you guys know I love you guys, and stay tuned for back-to-back content. Okay, I don't have a full-time job anymore. Okay, my full-time job is back in Nigeria, and here in Canada for now my full-time job is filming, taking care of my baby, and then school, of course. Yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. Until then, I love you guys. Have a great life, stay safe, and take care of yourselves. Bye.